Yo everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Steins Gates 0. We are now experiencing Suzuha's memory. It was a very hot day in 1998 when Suzuha said goodbye to Kagari Shira. She'd gone to get food and water at a local store, and when she came back and opened the hatch, Kagari was inside screaming. Come on, how does this stupid thing work? She looked inside and saw that Kagari was slamming her tiny hand against the control console. What are you doing? Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha. I'm not... This isn't what it looks like. Answer me. But... I woke up and you were gone and it was dark and the lights wouldn't turn on and it's so cramped and scary in here. So I tried to open the door. And then, that's when I was filming with this happened. Kagari started to cry. I'm sorry, big sis Suzuha. I'm sorry. I was really scared. I see. Suzuha relaxed her guard. Kagari had PTSD from the time as a war orphan, and she hadn't fully recovered yet. Maya had once told her that she had got very frightened in dark and cramped places. It makes sense if waking up in the dark caused a panic attack. And the time machine could only function with Suzuha's biometric authorization. Words. Someone of Kagari's size wouldn't be able to break the console either. You passed out from the shock of time travel, so I wanted to let you get some rest. I'm sorry. Suzuha grabbed one of Kagari's tiny hands to help her up and then led her outside the machine. Wow, it's so hot. Kagari, promise me that you won't touch the switches on the control console no matter what, okay? Okay. I'm going to get started. You go and rest. Have some food and water if you want. Suzuha handed Kagari the provisions she brought, then went inside and poked her head into the cargo space under the control console. She connected the IBM 5100 she stored there to a portable terminal she brought from the future. By all appearances, it was an early 2000 cell phone, but inside was a miniaturized quantum computer from the year 2036. Of course, Future Daru had made it himself. When she brought up the IBM 5100, rows and numbers started to appear on the screen. What are you doing? Kagari was looking in from inside the machine. Did you study the year 2000 problem? I studied it a little at the orphanage. In the end, nothing happened, right? That's what everyone thinks. It wasn't made public, but at the time, a lot of places and a lot of countries had serious problems because of it. Really? The issue was this computer, the IBM 5100. It got an old programming language on it, and the engineers weren't able to fix the program. In fact, they didn't even know of an important program existed that was written in this language. The race to develop the time machine was the beginning of the Third World War, but there's a chance that something had happened during the year 2000 problem, and the diversions that resulted from that were a deeper cause. She didn't expect a 10-year-old like Kagari to understand this, but she didn't feel like taking the time to explain. And the year 2000 is a special year, you see. All the world lines temporarily converged here. It means that it's possible that the year 2000 problem has a huge effect on all the world lines. The world line in the gap that we're trying to reach, Steins Gate, is no exception. She looked down at the terminal connected to the IBM 5100. So this is a patch program to keep the year 2000 problem from ever happening. Right now the terminal is converting the patch into the language used by the IBM 5100. The next step was to spread the program all around the world in the form of a virus, and the Y2K problem problems that this era's engineers missed would completely disappear. The word connected appeared on the terminal subscreen. Okay, it's connected. She'd been told that the Japan in this era's ADSL was still the test phase, and most normal users connected to the internet by low-speed dial-up using Integrated Service Digital Network, a completely digital network that used digital exchanges, relays, and subscriber lines. It was far faster than analog lines that were originally used by dial-up internet services, but massively decreased after the introduction of the faster ADSL. Oh gosh. Asthmatic. Oh, I can't read. Digital subscription line, a type of internet connection. ADSL uses telephone lines for high-speed data transmission in the early 2000s, these quickly replaced ISDN as the de facto method of connecting to the internet. But in the later part of the decade, FTTH services using fiber optics became more popular, and the number of ADSL users had declined ever since. At the time of recording, I'm pretty sure I have ADSL. Pretty sure. But in a major city, areas like Akihabara, university labs, and some big computer companies were starting to use fiber optic broadband. Some of them were even using wireless LANs. Suza cracked away into one of these. Darragh laughed when he said that with 2030 technology, cracking late 20th century network security was a joke, but he'd been right. But if we change the future, won't that change the world we're in? Surprisingly, Kagari had gotten the gist of what Suza had just told her. That's right. I refuse to let the world exist, that world exist any longer, so I came here to reach Steins again. Suddenly, an uneasy look on Kagari's face vanished. It was as if her soul had left its body. Suddenly her face was expressionless, and her eyes were wide. Voice. I can hear God's voice. Kagari? You can't do that. It's not right. You can't do that, big sister. How you can't? Huh? Kagari was acting strangely. Suspiciously, Suza reached her hand out towards her, but she slipped past Suza's hand, and quicker than any child should be able to move, she slammed her shoulders straight into Suza's body. Suza was caught completely off guard. That's how fast it was. Kagari's shoulder hit her solar plexus. This game and its solar plexuses. Solar plexi? She bent over and collapsed onto the seat. Kagari tore the terminal out of Suza's hand. The cables connected to the IBM 5100 were ripped out and errors displayed on both screens. What are you doing? Kagari didn't answer the question. Instead, she grabbed the backpack that Suza had placed on the seat and spilled its contents onto the floor. They were MREs, spare parts, clothes, and a semi-automatic pistol. Suza couldn't believe it. Kagari was going to try and pick it up. Stop it! She forced herself to ignore the pain and jumped onto Kagari's body. But another unbelievably powerful slam knocked her back. Something cold was pushed against her brow. Don't move. Kagari's tiny hands weren't shaking at all as they clutched the semi-automatic pistol. Oops. In the space of an instant, the safety of the gun had been flipped off. That's when Suza realized this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Suza was the one who taught her how to use a gun. That's why she knew that Kagari was perfectly calm. Are you insane? Put the gun down now. Stop doing this. You're the one that needs to stop. What? You can't change the world. You're not making sense. There was no hesitation in her eyes. Instead, Suza saw only resolve. Do you want the war to happen then? I don't know anything about that. I just want to go back to my old world. Then that's never going to happen. Why do you use the time machine to interfere with the past? The world lines changed. There's almost no chance we can go back. Can't erase this world, I won't let you. Kagari turned the gun towards the IBN 5100. Stop! Before Suza could stop her, she yanked down on the trigger. Again and again. Stop it, Kagari, please, stop it! And then Kagari jumped out of the time machine, and Suza never saw her again. On every night that passed, she remembered Kagari. Suza had spent some time looking for Kagari when she'd first come to this era, but in the end, she never found anything. But Shia Kagari, who is now 22 years old, was here in Akibara. Suza was sure of it. Oh, Maho-tan, hey! Itaru was sitting on the computer next to Suzuha talking into his monitor. The monitor was displaying a video chat screen. On the screen was a young girl dressed in silvery fashion. No, a proper, fully grown lady. Why does Maho always have the best facial expressions? And Suzuha has a great one as well. Morning. It was 8:30 p.m. at the Future Gadget Lab. Meanwhile, Victoria Konde was hour off from usual due to daylight savings time. It was 3:30 a.m. Hajo, you okay? It's early, she probably just got up. Maho was a mess. Her hair was never combed right, but her eyes were bloodshot and her gaze was wandering. The spots under her eyes were too dark for the little bit of makeup she applied to cover them up. Her cheeks were sunken, which made her look even thinner than usual. On top of that, the skin was terribly pale. She looked like something out of a zombie movie. Amneptic Maho-tan for the win. Normally she would have gone upset at Itaru's jokes, but either she'd gone used to it or simply given up because she said nothing. How are things going there? We managed to rebuild it on how it was before Okurin took it apart. I think it does most of what it did before. Oh. Before. Itaru glanced towards the development room, past the curtain in the back of the lab. Right now, he was working with Mao to recreate what Okabe called the time loop machine. Is it not going well? Yeah, it's not stable. It ends up being a normal microwave. I see. I wonder what's wrong with it. If we could ask Okurin, I'm sure things would be different. We can't do that. He's already mad He'd get really mad if he knew we were working on this. Uncle's afraid. He's afraid of the power of the world line convergence. It won't be easy to convince him. In fact, it'd almost been a year since he'd first tried and failed. There was another moment of silence. Wait, Maho-tan, are you asleep? Why does Maho have the best expressions? Maho's whole body jerked and almost fell out of her chair. That was close. I almost went back to bed before I left for work. You know, you're working too hard. If you get sick, I'll only slow us down, you know? It's fine. After all this work, I'm still not as good as the real genius. I don't think so. You know, I think you're a genius. I don't need you to make me feel better. I just like seeing the expressions of their faces. I got all these hints about the time leap machine that Okabe told me about, but I still can't find the answer. The TV? How did she manage to compress all... How did she manage to compress all that memory data and send it to the past? Chris managed to do it, but I... Mao seemed upset. It was obvious even through the monitor. Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't time to complain, is it? Is there anything else to report for today? If not, I'm going to head to work. There's one more thing. Suzuha looked at Itaru. About what you asked me to look into. Did you find something? Nothing clear yet. I see. I've done some breaking and entering into a bunch of networks and taken things apart as far as it's safe to do so. I'm not blaming you. Tell me what you know. No, but if you want to start screaming insults, I wouldn't mind that at all. Dad, hurry, I'm running out of time. Sure. Itaru opened a different window on the monitor. He displayed one of the text files on it. It was a record of information Itaru and Suzuha had collected. First, the incident where you were attacked in the hotel basement. The cops say it was some kind of crazy cultist or a drug trip. But that's definitely a lie. A lie? Just like the police announcement said, he was an assistant professor at a college. And that's fine, but I can't find anything linking him to a cult at all. I tried accessing public safety's secret data file on the cult, too, so I'm certain of it. So they're lying. If you look at our channel, you'll sometimes see people who look like they're from the cult claiming that they're innocent and the whole thing's a conspiracy. Whenever that happens, haters show up instantly and they beat the daylights out of the guy. Beat the daylights? A one-sided battle on which the target gets the daylights beaten out of them. Hater. People on the internet with a negative opinion about a certain person or thing, they go wherever fans of that person or thing gather and deliberately write things to provoke them. They often get into heated debates with fans. And the haters always have this really well-made fake evidence. Digitally altered images and stuff. There's no way that's a coincidence. Really? I don't know a lot of this @channel thing. Most of the big sites have agents on them, including @channel. And they get paid, like it's a business. So they do it 24 hours a day, from morning till night. Information control, propaganda. An advertisement for special ideology. Primarily used for political and religious purposes, propaganda has been around since the time of Roman Empire, beginning in the 20th century. Practically, after the end of the Second World War, its method has become more insidious. One example of this new propaganda would be the attempts to manipulate public opinion via the mass media. Propaganda advertisements are not always true, and the most obvious of them include lies or slander. Oblivious of them, slander towards their targets, if it's to their wielder's advantage. Politicians and bureaucrats use them to influence public opinions on the net, and there are even companies that specialize in this sort of thing. I see. I can understand that. America has the same thing. These agents can change their IP, but they can't hide it from me. So I did some research, and there's an insane amount of agents assigned to the case, to the point where I have no idea where the money to pay them is coming from. I see. What about the attack on your workplace, Dad? Same deal. police had called a fight between foreign mafias trying to expand their territory in Japan. The media never questioned the stories at all, and even people on the boards of the famously skeptical channel believed everything they were told. Of course, there was no mention whatsoever of Russia or Seren. So I decided to post a thread where I pretended to be a witness and said I saw some Russian special forces. And wow, I was amazed. Talk about some serious try-hard trolling. I got pissed enough that I almost doxed agent's real name, his company name and everything else. Evidently, he'd been really irritated. It was weird for Itaru to get so angry, or maybe it wasn't, she decided. In other words, pressure came down from somewhere to shut down discussion. It's Japan for you, a real free country. America's no different, is it? You got that right. The two of them smiled at the joke. Anyway, so that's all I can do. I see. That's enough, thank you. Hajo, you think you can get permission from the lab to come to Japan? Well... Oh yeah! Maho's not here this time. Well, I keep sending my request to go as Dr. Leanskin's assistant, but they keep turning them down. Dr. Leanskin's here now, right? Yeah, he's researching the new encephalitis. Since it has nothing to do with artificial intelligence, it seems Maho won't be allowed to go along. But that's fine. If they keep turning me down, I've got ideas on my own. What are you going to do? Don't tell me you're going to defy your superior officer's orders and drop the case? And then you'll be caught by the bad guys? I've seen that hentai before. Why does it have to be a hentai? Hey Maho-san. I don't know why I added san. Hey Maho, say kill me in a frustrated voice. Frustrated a voice as possible. Huh? Dad. Suzu's hand went back for her. Wait. Suzu's hand went for her back pocket. Sorry. Taro's shoulders slumped as he apologized. Lately, she'd been able to put a stop to Itaru's terrible jokes by doing that. She wasn't sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing that she knew exactly how to handle him. Well, anyway, I should be there before long. Too long. Okay, tell us when you got a date. Oh, and Hyojo, if you're going to work, you should take another look at the mirror first. Just before the end of the call, Suza decided to warn her. Huh? Maho stood up and walked towards the closet without turning off the camera. She vanished from view, but a moment later... She must have seen how terrible she looked because she let out a very unfeminine scream. They relaxed for a moment after turning off the video chat. Suza thought back to the time before she became a time traveler. She did this every time she got off the video chat with Maho. Maho Hyajo, someone who helped build the time machine, huh? It was after Maho had gone back to America that she'd volunteered to help Suzuha and Itaru with the time machine. It meant that when Hishida Itaru completed the time machine 25 years from now, Hyojo Maho must have contributed in some way, but... I know I shouldn't say too much about the future, but there was nobody by that name helping you, you know? Huh? Really? Which means she probably left the team at some point. I don't know whether it was on her own free will or due to some external factor, but if nothing else, I don't think she was part of the core team. But we know in the other timeline she was there. Oh, time travel's confusing. Let's see. She's pretty handy to have around though. I don't really want to say this, but there's a possibility she might be a spy. What? No way. Not Mahotan of all people. Sorry. I just want you to remember that it's a possibility. I told you, the war of information that comes before the Third World War has already started. Either way, we can't let anyone find out the machine's secrets. Just make sure you're very careful about that. Yeah. So, how are you going to work on the time machine going forward? We really need Ocarin's help. That's the thing. I don't know if we can persuade Uncle Ocarin. I might be able to do it by force. Who was it that tried that before, and then it failed? Suza pressed her lips. Even with a gun in his face, Ocarin Renato still wouldn't get in the time machine. To be honest, Suza was out of options. She stifled a sigh. It didn't do any good to let herself get down. Come to think of it, how are things with Mom? Huh? I'm more worried about that. Is everything okay? I'm still going to be born, right? Well, it's more important. Is that more important than the time machine? Hey! Suza stormed over to the tower. You can't screw this up, Dad. Yeah, Daddy's gonna do his best, okay? All you ever do is talk. You even wasted those movie tickets we gave you, didn't you? She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mayuri and Ferris had conspired to give them at the Christmas party. That was because Ocarin and Miss Fubuki collapsed. You know. We were so busy with the hospital visits and stuff that the movie left the theatre. It's not like it's my fault. But I heard that when they tried to give you new tickets, you turned them down. Who told you that? Big Sis Mayuri and Big Sis Rumi, obviously. That's because, you know, it's not very manly to make those two do all the work, is it? So, you're gonna do something yourself? This isn't gonna work. Maybe this was a more important problem than the time machine. Suza brought her hand up to her head. Listen, Dad. I'm not going to be around to lecture you like this forever, okay? I'm leaving soon. Oh. Suddenly there was a sad look in Tao's eyes. Don't make that face. I promised I'd stop worrying about it. For the past 6 months, Suza had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. But in the end, it was none other than Itao who pushed her to go ahead. I'm sorry. She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she patted his broad back. Don't just sit there and be glum. Send Mom a message and see if she's free sometime. And if she is, invite her to a movie. Yeah, it's all too sudden. I don't care if it's sudden or not. Do it anyway, okay? This is an order. An order? What's your answer? Sir, yes, sir. Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower. Before that, I'm gonna hit the convenience store. Actually, I haven't eaten yet. Probably gonna be up all night again. So I want to get there before it gets too late. Still hunched over, he pointed towards the development room. He was... Still, I'm trying to think, because we have the... Guy visited at some point and dropped her Upa outside. I'm wondering if this happens as Dao leaves? Or whether it just doesn't already has meant to have happened. Ah well. He was pointing at the phone wavenames of Change Unit 2. It was put together but still undergoing testing. Don't glare at me like that. I'll eat as healthy as I can, so please forgive me. Vanilla. Huh? I want ice cream. When I'm done with my shower, vanilla ice cream. Okay, I'll buy you a lot of really top shelf stuff. It doesn't have to be a lot, just one thing is fine. Sir, yes sir. That was enough to cheer Dora up. He took his wallet and then ran out of the lab. He's such a handful. She was just about taking off her jacket so then she could take a shower, but Suzuha. Itaru came back into the lab. What is it? I found this on the stairs. Okay. Itaru showed her a keychain she was holding. It's a round anime character whose colour was faded to smoky green. It was an Upa. Do you know whose this is? Big Sis Mayu's, probably? She leaned forward to take a closer look, and then she felt like she was experiencing deja vu. I've seen this Upa somewhere before. She'd seen it before? She couldn't really remember when, but her external alarms were going off. This keychain was extremely important. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had worn down, the paint was faded and coming off in places, but there was no dust and there were no stains. Instead, it shone brightly, as if the owner had put a lot of effort into taking good care of it. The chain was so old that part of it snapped off. That's probably how it got dropped. Where was it? I'd seen this before. Did Mayushi show it to you? I don't know. She stared at the green Upa in Itaru's hands, and then, in her mind, she heard a young girl scream. This is Mama's Upa keychain. I'm giving it to you. Take care of it, okay? She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine. This can't be. Kagari's? That was when she last seen it. August 13th, 2036. The day she'd gone into the time machine, and when she'd seen this Upa. It was older and more worn now, but it was the same, but the more she remembered the day, the more certain she became. This was the Upa that Mayu had given to Kagari. She had seen Kagari hold it and crying to herself many times before. Kagari, you mean future Miss Mayu's daughter? Yeah. Did you find her? No. But she knows where I am. What do you mean? She was watching the lab. Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't seen any signs of Kagari. But she never thought she'd be watching the lab. No, it would have been obvious if they'd given it any thought. If I'd given it any thought. She's trying to stop us from reaching Steins Gate. She doesn't want this world to end. Which means she's watching, not just me, but you too? Huh? Me? Well, I don't think your life is in danger, probably. If you believe that, what we know about how world lines work, you live till at least 2036. But she might come to interfere with your research, so we can't reach Steins Gate. A lot of bad things had been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Okabura Minato. There is some possibility that the final target was Itaru. From now on, just to be safe, lock the door whenever I'm not around. Oh, okay, got it. Even if Uncle Okurin, Mom, or Big Sis Mayuri are here, don't leave it open. It might not help much, but make sure you use the door chain too. You know, Okurin and Mayushi are one thing, but if I did that when I was alone with Amashi, don't you think they'll give her the wrong idea? That's true. If that makes her not like me, my whole family could be in trouble. Suzuha groaned softly, unsure what to do. If you were only going to be her boyfriend sooner, there wouldn't be a problem. Wait, we're back to that? Just be careful, okay? Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa chain. She softly ran her fingers over it and stared at it. Hey Suzuha, Kagari's Tan not related to Mayushi, but she's still her daughter, right? That's right. Could someone raised by Mayushi grow up to be that kind of person who'd assault someone? I just can't imagine it. From what he told me, I'd expect her to be a kind, easygoing and cute little girl. I wish that's what had happened. It had in another route. Yeah, I thought that's how she'd turn out too. But now, she's probably... From what she'd seen in the radio building, she couldn't tell. Kagari was definitely... From what she'd seen at the radio building, she could tell Kagari definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just simple self-defense techniques that she'd learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cold techniques of a killer. There was no way to know since where she'd been, or what she'd been doing ever since she got missing in 1998. There's no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans. Suzuha sighed as she took her shower. Since it was summer and she set the water temperature low, it was barely any hotter than tap water. As long as the water was pouring down on her, she could feel like all the bad memories had been washed away. She slapped her cheeks with both hands and turned off the water. The small tiled room suddenly became quiet. In the silence, she vigorously toweled off her hair. This building was never intended for anyone to live in. Not only were there very little room, but there wasn't even a place to change. It was small and there were no windows, and the steam from the shower room built up, making it an unpleasant sauna in summer. Supposedly, Itaru and Okabe would sit naked next to the fans to get away from the heat and moisture. Of course, they wouldn't. Of course, that was only when the girls, as well as Luca, weren't around. But Suzuha couldn't do that. There were those huge scars on her chest. If she'd been careless and Yuki saw them, she'd have a big problem. She always forced herself to change within this small space. The second she left the shower room, she realized something was wrong. The lights were off in the part behind the curtain where the lab room was. She was sure she'd left all the lab lights on when she'd gone to take a shower. She didn't remember turning them off. Still completely naked, she flung open the curtain. She dropped to the floor, ready to move. She could tell by the light from the shower room that there was no one else there, but she didn't hear any breathing and she didn't feel any other presence. Did Dad come back? And then when he left, he turned off the lights? No, that couldn't be right. She looked around the room and saw that things had been moved in a way that an amateur wouldn't be able to notice. Itaru's computer desk, the sofa area, the bookshelves, even the mini kitchen someone had gone through them all. From the look of it, the same was probably true of the development room. Suzuha glanced over all the areas where she kept her guns. The closest was the sofa that she had used as a bed. She wanted to have one easily available if she was attacked while she slept. She had cut into the back of one of the sofa cushions and hid a suppressed semi-automatic pistol in it. It was just a .32 caliber for self-defense, so it wouldn't do much damage unless you had good aim. But it was small and relatively quiet, which made it the best choice for a place like this. Suzuha tensed all her muscles, coiling like a spring, and slowly moved towards the sofa without making a noise. As she did, she tried to notice any changes in the surrounding area. There was a small sound in the development room. It was tiny creaking on the floor, to which you'd usually pay no mind. But that was no more than enough for Suzuha. In an instant, she moved from quiet to action. She cleared the distance of the sofa in a single movement and quickly drew her gun. She held it ready and slipped into the shadow of the refrigerator. From this position, she could barely see into the development room. The room became silent again, but this time the intruder in the other room didn't try to hide their presence. Try anything and I'll shoot. Hands on your head, come out slowly. Susanna threatened the intruder in a low voice, but the intruder seemed completely unconcerned as they exposed themselves to Suzuha's gaze. Okay. You must be pretty hot wearing that in this weather. Why don't you take off your helmet? The intruder was wearing a motorcycle suit, just like before, even the helmet was the same. The leather suit clung to their skin, revealing a voluptuous and perfectly proportioned body. It was clearly a woman. What you're looking for isn't there. It's in my pocket. Suzuha pointed towards the entrance of the shower room. The shirt she'd taken off was lying there on the floor. The girl in the motorcycle suit turned her head, but because of the face mask was down, Suzuha couldn't read her expression. You should know better than to drop that. It's something Mami gave you. Right, Kagari? The second she spoke, Shinya Kagari was the first to move. She drew the deglossed military knife that must have been hiding behind her back and closed the gap between herself and Suzuha in an instant. Suzuha pointed the gun at her legs and pulled the trigger, carefully aiming away from her vitals. She heard the small pop of the suppressed .32 and saw Kagari lose her balance and fall. Or thought she did, but it was a feint. She only pretended to lose her balance. In fact, she changed the direction and was heading to the shower room. It seemed like her first goal was to get what she'd come for. Huh? After firing one shot, Suzuha realized even a .32 should have more recoil than this. Suzuha fired again, but Gary didn't flinch even for a moment. It blanked? How? At some point, the bullets in Suzuha's gun had been swapped with blanks. The instant panic was all it took. Kagari reached out for the shirt on the floor in front of the shower room. No way! Suzuha gave up on firing and flung the gun at Kagari. There was a dull thud as the hard barrel slammed into her neck. Caught off balance, she staggered before she could grab the shirt. She could hear Kagari's voice for the first time from within the helmet. Suzuha jumped. She kicked the off-balance Kagari as hard as she could with her toned muscle legs. There was no time to hold back. Kagari went flying all the way to the edge of the room. That had to have broken a few ribs. Suzuha jumped towards her to continue her attack. But with terrifying speed, Kagari leapt off the ground and charged at Suzuha. There wasn't enough time to come to a full stop. A sharp blade swept by, mere centimeters from her exposed abdomen. If she had pulled back even a tenth of a second later, the knife would have fatally sliced open her gut. You bitch. The blood rushed to Suzuha's head. Kagari was serious, but she was planning to kill her. There was no hesitation in her movements. Suzuha leapt back and searched for something she could use as a weapon, but the other guns were probably no different. There was a good chance that all their ammo had been swapped with blanks too. It was even possible that all her self-defense knives had been taken too. Which left? There were several kitchen knives carefully stored in the kitchen. Yuki had brought them over to use in teaching the other girls how to cook, but Kagari had evidently noticed them as well, as she was moving to keep Suzuha from reaching them. Looks like you've had a lot of practice. It's hard to believe you're the same girl who spent all her time sobbing inside the time machine. I'm surprised. Suzuha kept a distance from Kagari as she slowly moved along the wall. Her competitive drive burned even brighter as she tried to come up with a way to overcome her disadvantage. Here, Kagari, this is what you're after, right? Kagari picked up the shirt from the shower room and then took the green keychain out of its pockets. What's wrong? Come get it. Her fingers moved as if to crush it. She could see Kagari twitch for the first time. She could detect a hint of emotion behind the helmet. In an instant, she threw it at Kagari's stomach. The keychain flew in a slow arc, like she was tossing it to a friend. If something they loved was thrown like that, even the fiercest warrior would instinctively reach out in both hands to grab it. Kagari was no exception. She carefully held her mother's memento in both her empty left hand, and her right hand still clutched the knife. Using the slow arc of the keychain as camouflage, Suzuha ran at her in a straight line. Her right fist connected hard with Kagari's stomach, then her left arm smashed Kagari's head to the side. Kagari's body fell to the ground, her right shoulder taking the brunt of the fall. Suzuha could hear the sound of her joints dislocating. The knife slipped from her grasp. Suzuha got behind her and mounted her, twisting her right arm mercilessly. At the same time, she slipped her own left arm around Kagari's neck and squeezed hard. She could hear something like a moan from Kagari's throat, but she could both hear and feel bones in her arms and neck cracking. Stay put, I'm not going to kill you. But Kagari picked up the knife on the floor with her left hand and once again tried to use it on Suzuha. Suzuha was forced to squeeze her arm and neck even harder. Stop it, Kagari. I understand not how you feel, but it's wrong, it's wrong. But Kagari didn't stop. If anything, she tried even harder to pull Suzuha away. What kind of training did she get? Even in all the battles she'd been in, this much pressure on two different spots was enough to get even the toughest soldier to submit or fall unconscious. Terrified, Suzuha squeezed even harder. At this rate, she wouldn't simply knock her out. She really would kill Kagari. But if she stopped, Kagari would kill her. What should she do? Fixes Suzuha, it hurts. And then she heard a sad, weak voice from inside the helmet. It startled her, and she relaxed both her arms. But that's just what Kagari had hoped for. The knife came very close to cutting Suzuha's left arm. When she let go to dodge it, Kagari shook her off and kicked her hips with both legs. Suzuha slammed back hard into the computer desk for a moment and she couldn't breathe. She fell to the floor and the printer monitor crashed mercilessly on her naked body. She forced herself to stand up, gasping hard as she did so. Kagari's breathing was heavy too. Her right arm was pointed in an impossible direction and hanging limp. She wouldn't be able to use it for a while, probably. But her left arm was still holding the knife. You learned some dirty tricks, haven't you? Suzuha glared at Kagari's face, not that she could see what it looked like behind the helmet. The two of them fell silent as they tried to catch their breath. The tension in the air was so thick that it was difficult to move a muscle. Sweat rolled down her forehead and into her eyes, but she still didn't blink as she waited for Kagari to make her next move. The sound of the front door opening that broke their stalemate. Hey Suzuha, did I just hear a loud noise? Suzuha felt a chill run down her spine when she heard Itao's voice. Huh? Why is it so dark? No, Dad, stay back! She yelled at the exact same instant he turned on the lights. The sudden brightness was enough to make Suzuha flinch for an instant. Kagari was wearing a full-faced helmet, and that made all the difference. She leapt towards Itao just for a moment before Suzuha. Kagari's black knife went up to his throat. Kagari spun around behind him using Itao's huge body as a shield. Suzuha staggered towards him, gritting her teeth. Let go, Kagari. Lay one finger down, and I don't care who you are, Kagari. I will kill you. But Kagari remained silent as she headed outside the door with her hostage, and then, in the next moment, she shoved him forward. Itao lost his balance and fell towards Suzuha. Suzuha fell on the ground underneath his weight. Itao just managed to support himself with his arms and legs to keep himself from crushing her. Move! Suzuha tried to shove him off using a little more force than she may have intended, but Itao was so huge it would take him a moment to get up. This is why I told you to lose weight. What? She was getting away. She somehow managed to crawl out from under him and quickly tried to follow Kagari. Suzuha, with this! Itao was still laying on the ground and he tossed the naked Suzuha her shirt. She grabbed it and quickly put it on and then ran outside. But when she looked around the street, the girl and the motorcycle leathers weren't there. There was no way to even know where she'd gone. She got away. It would be dangerous to run around trying to find her now. There was a chance the tower would be attacked while she wasn't at the lab. What's that? Kagari-tan? The tower came outside as well. Yeah, I'm almost certain. I see. So this is how it's going to be with the two of us in the end. The bruises and wounds that were bad enough, but the pain that ached in her heart was the worst of all. You know, I really did like her. Yeah. She was small, but so brave. She always did her best to protect Big Sis Mao. And I taught her a lot. I thought of her like a little sister. Yeah. But now she's my enemy. Tao staggered up, strained up her shirt sleeves. You know, you look like a slutty girl in a H game right now, Suzuha. Huh? What? Suzuha was caught completely off guard. True, her t-shirt only came down just below her hips, roughly the length of a miniskirt. Her breasts were almost completely bared. The shirt's hem was turned up and she felt exposed. Well, I don't mind H games with slutty girls, and I don't think it would be the whole don't think the whole naked except for a t-shirt thing is all that bad. You're being silly again. You're being silly again. You could have gone badly hurt. But Itao shook his head. I got freaked out by the knife, but I don't think I really needed to be that scared. Unless I'm mistaken. Itao rubbed the part of his neck where the knife blade was. When she held the knife to my throat, I could hear it, just a little. Hear what? She was probably crying. Huh? Crying? Under the helmet? After the whole battle with Suzuha? While holding the knife to Itao's neck? But why? So, don't you think it's too early to jump to conclusions? Dad? Did you buy me that vanilla ice cream? Yeah, of course. I love to eat it. I'm a little tired. And then she almost fell forward. What? Itao managed to catch her before she hit the ground. Hey Suzuha. I'm fine. But let me rest a little. That was all she had the energy to say. She closed her eyes in her dad's arms and her consciousness melted away. Whew. So, with that, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye!